Greetings everyone, Matt with Aegis Learning here. Welcome back to episode number 5 on our series of mentoring, where we're going to discuss challenges to becoming a mentor and how we can overcome some of them. So first, why don't more people become mentors? And I think that comes down to 3 big reasons. First, I think a lot of people aren't confident in their own skill sets. And then second, I think they don't feel like they can make a difference. And finally, they don't feel like they have enough time. So let's address the first one. A lot of leaders are promoted because they're very competent in their operational and technical skill levels, and they feel comfortable there, but they're not confident in their ability to lead or in their relationship skills. This is where being mentored helps develop those things to a point where a person feels confident and can develop those skills so that then they can share with other people. And second, it's important to remember that a mentoring relationship is a two-way street. So it's not simply about only developing the mentee. The mentor also gets something out of it, and it's not uncommon for a mentor to get more out of it than the mentee because they are focusing on studying and learning and developing themselves, and even to address blind spots they didn't know they had because of information they gleaned from a mentee. So second, great leaders believe they can make a difference in others' lives, and we believe that one person can make a difference. I'm reminded of the story of the starfish, where a young boy is walking across the beach. And there's starfish all laying out there, and he's picking up the starfish, and one by one he's flinging them back into the ocean. And a man comes along and says, "You're never going to be able to save all these starfish, so what does it matter?" And as the young boy picks up the last one more starfish, he throws it out into the ocean. He says, "It mattered to that one." Well, that's what we have to remember. The individual is important. The person to be developed is important. That one person can become and make a difference and shift a culture in an entire organization. So it's important never to lose focus of that one individual being mentored can turn out to have a profound impact across an entire organization. And finally, and the biggest complaint is there's not enough time. Well, I'm here to tell you, there's always going to be another deadline. There's always going to be another project. There's always going to be another meeting on the horizon. The important thing is you need to make it a priority. And that's why we go back and say that the process should be formalized and scheduled. You need to make it a time-sensitive thing that you know and committed to being there and being fully engaged while you're there. It's important to be able to see going back to the one we just talked about, the potential for the mentee to develop, that one person can make a huge impact. When you have that sort of desire to help someone become great, to become successful, then it becomes easier to set aside the time and focus on what needs to happen in those sessions and with that relationship. Now, another great concern and challenge of mentors is knowing when to back off. So sometimes you need to let go of the reins and let the mentee go do it themselves, even if that means that they're going to fail. Now, obviously, there's critical tasks and critical things that sometimes we can't. But often, the most important lessons are learned in our life when we fall short or we fail. And depriving a mentee of those opportunities is really just selfish, and it doesn't allow for full development of that mentee. I think that it's important to be encouraging to them and give them the opportunity. So we provide them with all the tools that we can, and we help them. We give them the wings, but they're the ones that have to spread them and actually fly. And sometimes those opportunities where we feel like we need to step in are actually the times we need to master ourselves, step back, and let the mentee do it. And often we'll be surprised. Well, we probably wouldn't be surprised if we're doing a really good job. We know they can be successful, and we'll see them soar. Avoid the know-it-all syndrome. Sometimes I think it's very easy because of our maybe competencies and our skill levels that our ego takes over and starts driving us. And when we do that, we are disingenuine and we lose sincerity, and it decreases the trusting relationship we have. So it's very important to avoid being a know-it-all. Don't tell war stories simply to brag. Don't share experiences simply so that you can be better than the other person or show them how hard you had it. Remember, and the way that you avoid this is you always keep your focus on the mentee, developing that person. Their needs are more important than yours. And when you keep that attitude, it becomes easier to resist that temptation to share a story that's going to not do anything other than boost your own ego. A lot of people struggle with giving up on the mentoring process too soon, right? Oftentimes it's because they don't see the results soon enough. Remember, it's a long-term process. Mentoring can last years, and oftentimes mentoring relationships will continue even after people have changed positions or even moved organizations because that relationship and that development is so strong. That's the goal. You're not going to see overnight success. I mean, you might see improvement in certain areas. The needle will move, but ultimately the results that you're looking for are going to take time to develop. Don't give up too soon. You have to be committed. Another reason people give up is because it's not what they expected. Well, that can be countered by having realistic expectations. We go back to in the process setup. Make sure you write down what you expect and you communicate that clearly between the mentor and the mentee. What are we going to accomplish? And then don't be afraid to reevaluate those expectations. Let's say you have a mentoring session and then a few weeks later you have another one and skills are developing faster. Well, it's okay to check that off the list and move on to something else. Or they're not. Fine. Reevaluate and adjust that goal. Set it longer term. Set more specific things to accomplish. Oftentimes people want to quit because they don't feel like they're getting to their goal because their goal was unrealistic. Make sure those expectations are realistic. Also realize that we're doing a lot with character-based competencies and skills that are not easily measured or definable. So a lot of times you're not going to see immediate results. Often team members will take several iterations of implementing skills before they see a consistent change in the leader for them to adapt to that. They'll push back and they'll struggle because it doesn't seem genuine initially. So you have to continue. And that can be a variable rate. You can't define that that's going to happen 1, 2, 3 times. So the leader just needs to be consistently implementing those skills and consistently doing that, and then you'll see the needle move on the performance and the engagement level eventually. So don't give up too soon simply because it's not meeting your expectation. And lastly, here's a couple of tips. First of all, remember that not everybody's the same. So your mentee is not going to be the same as you. They're going to have different stylistic differences. They're going to have different ways of approaching things, and that's not wrong. In fact, the best mentors will learn from their mentee and add to their toolbox new skills and new ways of doing things. Remember to keep the focus on the potential and see that it's about the mentee. It's not about you. It's about developing him or her and helping them become their own leader. Finally, stick to that schedule. Make sure that you have fixed times and fixed expectations. And I guess lastly, be honest, be trustworthy, be loyal in that relationship, and that will drive things to a new level. This is Matt with Aegis Learning. Tune in next time when we're going to summarize everything and give you a great overview of the mentoring process.